have it. Ron Nicholas.
Great. Well, thank you for the opportunity to be here. I very much appreciate the sponsors making this possible, and appreciate you taking the time to come. You're hearing all right? And a little bit of a feedback. It's nice. It's sort of otherworldly. Maybe it'll let it go away as we go along. Here's I've got good news and bad news. I'll start with the bad news, if I may. The bad news is that federal tax receipts this year will cover only entitlement spending. We will borrow the money for everything else. So federal tax receipts this year will only cover Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and interest on the debt. Everything else we're going to borrow. So that means all the operations in Iraq, Afghanistan, every lease that the federal government has on a building, let's say, all of that, and all the employees' salaries, all of that will be borrowed. That's particularly shocking news, I think. It's bad news. But here's some good news. I was just going door to door, and what I'm finding in contact with an awful lot of folks, especially at doorsteps, is a real commitment to the general interest over the special interest. The general interest is in paying down the debt, eliminating deficit, paying down the debt. It's in making good for the whole country. It's beginning to overwhelm the special interest, which is an earmark for a special purpose here or there, or a tax loophole here or there. So it's very good news. The American people are rising up to express that general interest. And that means that perhaps we can seize this moment and be bold enough to suggest plans that will work to balance the budget and to restore fiscal sanity. I think it's really something that we're looking at as something of an unchange rather than a change. You know, in 2008, America was sold change. Thankfully, South Carolina didn't buy that, but the rest of the country did. Now what we're seeing, after Scott Brown's victory in Massachusetts, is a moment for unchange. A moment where we're returning to the idea of free enterprise, returning to the idea of keeping health care in private hands, and with a real commitment to having entrepreneurs rather than bureaucrats run our free enterprise system. So I think it's in a very exciting time. We've got huge challenges, obviously, but we also have this tremendous opportunity to start getting it right. And what I hope to convince you of, when you look at a voting record that's available or maybe be passed out as we go along here tonight, is that I've been voting in a way that really does reflect this district. And that the concepts of this district, being really faith, family, and free enterprise.
Okay, your 3 minutes are up. Thank you.
It will work for the country. So thank you.
Sorry.
Let's see, is it on? Can you hear me okay? Can you hear me? I'm David Thomas, and it's a pleasure to see you all here. The candidates here in my hometown, Fountain Inn. I've been here for 25 years in Fountain Inn with my wife, Fran. Fran, I lost you as you were coming to sit down. Where are we going? Raise your hand. There's Fran. I want you to meet Fran, because if you don't like me, once you meet her, I might win you over. She is a wonderful, wonderful jewel, and my soulmate, and has always been for 25 years. I have been faithful to my wife. And I say that unabashedly because in this era in which we live, I want everybody to know that. And if I'm elected to Congress, I'm going to stay that way. It's a hard place to be when you're asked to go out here and go out there and be with people, and there's this aura of power, so to speak. But let me tell you, if you have your principles right, and I'm a Christian, I'm the son of a Baptist minister, that doesn't make me a Christian. It's what you believe that makes you a Christian, it makes you a believer. That is the foundation of who I am and what I am, and it is my religious belief. Became a Christian when I was 10 years old under the preaching of my father. That's the background on me just a little bit. I was elected to local office many years ago in Greenville. I was a city councilman and mayor pro tem. I was a water commissioner. I was elected to the state senate, and I have served in fight after fight after fight, and battle after battle to establish as many conservative causes as possible. I led with Joe Wilson the reform of the welfare system. You know Joe Wilson, don't you? The reform of the welfare system in South Carolina. That was back in the 90s. Worked for reform of juvenile justice, Department of Corrections. DJJ is, I think, one of our highlights, Department of Juvenile Justice, for reform, taking it out of a federal lawsuit. We face now in America one of the most perplexing, difficult problems we have ever seen. Adversaries outside with the possibility of Iran with a nuclear weapon, inside turmoil with our economy. I want to be a conservative leader. I emphasize that. You can have a voting record, but I want to be a conservative leader that you will be proud of, leading the way on conservative issues. I want to be a congressman who will have an overlay, like we saw with Carol Campbell, of recruiting job prospects by way of businesses ready to expand, nationally and internationally, bringing them to South Carolina and showcasing them. And a lot of them will come here. I will spend every spare minute of my time to do that, along with the job I've got to do in Washington. You will see jobs results over the years if you elect David Thomas as your jobs congressman. I would appreciate your consideration and your vote. Thank you.
We're in a crisis. Things are bad. And if you're interested in my personal biography, it's all on the website, ChristinaJeffrey.com. But I want to tell you what's different about me, because it really, really, really matters. I'm not going to be the jobs congressman. I believe that the free market creates jobs, that government can't create jobs. Government does a great job of destroying jobs. I think 250,000 jobs have been created and 8 million have been destroyed by a stimulus bill. This is the kind of results you get when the government decides it's going to create jobs. So I won't be doing that. I will be trying to get the government out of your way so that you can create your own jobs, so that we can have big business and small business. One of the reasons that all the jobs now come from small businesses, we have run the big businesses off, and they're not there for the middle class of America, and that's really, really hurting us. I don't want to stand before you and say I will be a leader in Congress, because let me tell you, I am a Tea Party candidate, and the Tea Parties, and I'm also a Tea Party organizer, so the Tea Parties are saying to the politicians, we want good government. We don't need leaders. This is a republic. We are the representatives of smart voters who hire us. We're in a job interview right this minute. And they hire us to go and do the work that the founders created for the Congress to do. And Congress has responsibilities. And you know what we don't see much of in Washington? We don't see much responsibility. Why will all of these entitlements take up almost the entire budget? Not just because tax revenues are down, but because we've been on an unsustainable path for a long time. And the people who are disillusioned with government today, suddenly disillusioned, weren't paying attention. Because if they'd been paying attention, they would see that since 1960s, it's been obvious that the baby boomers weren't going to enjoy the same Social Security benefits that their parents and their grandparents enjoyed. Not possible. Not possible without increasing the amount of taxes that everybody pays. And what does that do? Kills the economy. I wrote my doctoral dissertation in public policy. I have studied it forever. I provided the briefing for Newt Gingrich in the 90s. He still uses it. We have a crisis on top